Let's start talking about games from this weekend. Let's start with number 8 Oklahoma going to that pro stadium. Let's just say this. There's no home field advantage for Miami. They play in a half-empty baseball/football stadium, but nevertheless, it is in Miami. And Oklahoma, now, we don't know whether Bradford will be playing or not, but Landry Jones, not too bad, I guess, against Tulsa, but the defense is going to be a lot better than them. Jordan, we'll start with you. Who do you got in this one?
I don't think it matters if Bradford plays or not. We saw Oklahoma we saw Landry Jones break the Oklahoma passing touchdown record with 6 a few weeks ago. And, granted, they haven't played a defense like Miami's. Miami, I think, really thrives usually more on their rush defense. And I think, I don't know, I think Miami is going to kind of crumble. And I don't think Oklahoma is going to have 2 losses this early in the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to go with Oklahoma as well. I think it's going to be a nail-biter. I think it's going to be a really close game. It's really hard for me to pick this game because we don't know if Sam Bradford's playing. I think if Sam Bradford plays, Oklahoma's going to win for sure. Miami will play tough, but I think they're going to have a really hard time playing against the athletes that Oklahoma has. And Bob Stoops has proven game in and game out that he's a very good coach, and he's not going to let that team get, as you said, 2 losses early in the season.
And Miami was in shambles last week.
Yeah, and Oklahoma, nobody in the country has been talking about Oklahoma. They did have the early loss to BYU, but nobody's even really talking about them in the Big 12 anymore. Right. I mean, they're still a contender, not only for the Big 12, but they're still a contender for the national title. I mean, this is a team that's still number 8 in the country. And I think Miami's a good team. I know I was ragging on them about the loss to Virginia Tech, but I still think they are a good football team. But Oklahoma's going to win. I think it's going to be by double digits. I think Oklahoma's going to take it to Miami. I still think Miami ends up with 9 wins, 8 wins, but I think Oklahoma's a better football team, and Oklahoma's going to get back on the map. This is a primetime game on ABC, so this would be big for Oklahoma. They need to make a statement in this game. Another big game in the SEC. Number 4, LSU travels to Athens to take on number 18, Georgia. Georgia has won 6 of the last 8 versus LSU. Mike, we'll start with you. Who do you got in this one?
I'm going to stick with my SEC West winner, LSU. I know they played some tough games. They had to stop Mississippi State at the goal line. But Les Miles is a great coach. LSU is going to find a way to win that ball game. Georgia's very good. As you said, 6 out of the last 8 against LSU. It's impressive. But I like Jordan Jefferson. I like LSU, what they've got. They're inconsistent, I know, but I really think they're going to be able to go in there motivated, be able to win that game, and then be prepared for the battle in Baton Rouge against the Gators.
I don't know if I like Jordan Jefferson as much as you do. Do you know what team in the SEC is last in total yards per game? LSU.
They're undefeated.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, it's all about wins. That's all that matters.
Yeah, but LSU hasn't played a team nearly as they haven't played the schedule.
That Washington victory, I mean, they beat USC.
Yeah, then lost to Stanford. I picked that game, by the way. I picked them beating Stanford.
I know, I'm kidding.
I mean, Stanford beating Washington. Jordan.
Yeah, I was going to say LSU. It's kind of funny. You don't know what to think of them one week. You think, well, that was an impressive win. They beat Washington where USC couldn't. And then you don't see much out of Washington the next week. This is one of the tiebreakers in the Yahoo College Pick'em. I picked LSU to win 41-13.
Wow.
And it's a bold prediction, and I don't think either team has proven that much to me. All I know is Georgia's defense can give up some points. Absolutely can give up some points. And I do not think LSU's defense is capable of giving up the kind of points that will allow Georgia to get in the type of shootout they got in against South Carolina and Arkansas where they won. It's kind of weird. Georgia's been playing their opponents into a Big 12 South type of game, up in the high 50 and 40 scores, and whoever scores the most points wins, not whoever plays the best defense. And I think LSU is not going to let that happen, and they're just going to break away in the second half. Look for even a big margin at halftime.
Well, LSU did allow 26 points from Mississippi State, and the game is being played in Athens. The visitors lost 5 straight in this series, and Georgia's won 3 in a row. They're going to make it 4 in a row. I said at the beginning of the year that Georgia was my sleeper for the SEC because all they have to do is just somehow find a way to beat Florida, and I think they're on the inside track to the SEC championship game, which I still think Florida's going to win the SEC. But if something miraculous were to happen, I think Georgia, in games like this, winning is why Georgia's going to have a pretty high ranking at the end of the year. I like Georgia's offense. Yeah, their defense isn't as good, but hey, I mean, you put up 51 points on Arkansas. I mean, that's a pretty good offense. You score the amount of points you did against South Carolina, a good South Carolina defense, by the way. I like Georgia. I like Mark Richt. Nobody's talking about this football team. I know they lost to Oklahoma State earlier in the year, but I think they're a good football team. And the fact, like I said, it's in Athens, I got to go with Georgia. Number 7, USC, taking on number 24, Cal. 2 teams with a loss. Can you believe that these 2 teams are at the bottom of the Pac-10 right now? Ouch. But USC is still number 7 in the nation. I know we'll talk about rankings later. But they go to Berkeley to take on Cal. Jordan, I think it's your turn. Who do you got, Cal or USC?
I think USC takes this one. You know, they're past their one Pac-10 loss a year. Granted, they lost twice a couple years ago. I know they also dropped one to Oregon that season. But I think that USC just has too much. And again, Cal, they're overrated every year. Somehow they get thrown, I feel like, into the top 12 at the beginning of a lot of these seasons after maybe a big bowl in the year before. I mentioned they had to squeak one out in the 4th against Minnesota. Mm-hmm. And USC, like I said, they've been through that loss, that kind of fluky loss, and I think Matt Barkley steps in and just gets, you know, things back to normal, and USC will be coming home with a victory.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm picking USC as well. Low-scoring game. Matt Barkley makes plays when he has to. They contain Javid Best in the sense that he's not going to be scoring 5 touchdowns like he did against Minnesota. Maybe he'll punch one in, but I think it's a low-scoring game, something like 17-14, very low-scoring. But Matt Barkley engineers a couple drives and allows USC to go into Berkeley and get the W.
I cannot believe that Cal looked so bad last week. I'm usually not a person who buys into Cal. I never do. But I did pick Cal to beat Oregon. Boy, they looked awful. Oregon gave up 36 points to Purdue and then 3 to Cal. I don't know. Cal, I think this game is close because it's very emotional for both these teams. I think USC wins, though. Cal's lost 5 straight versus USC. There's going to be 6. Okay, next topic. Something I'm interested in, so we're going to spend a little time talking about this. The polls. First of all, the polls are garbage right now. Second of all, we should talk about whether there should even be preseason rankings because the teams that aren't ranked or ranked lower are really getting gypped right now. Case in point, the coaches poll. AP poll looks pretty good this week, but yet AP poll isn't part of the BCS formula. 1/3 of the BCS formula is the coaches poll. So I'm going to point out some of my problems I have with the coaches poll. Then we're going to talk about it. And then let's talk about, too, whether there should even be preseason rankings. It's fun for the college football magazines, but it's really hurting some teams. Okay, first problem I have with it. Why is Cal 19 in the nation and Oregon 25th? Cal's beaten nobody good. Minnesota's all right. And Oregon here, they beat Utah, and then they beat Cal, but they're ranked 25th. Case in point number 2. Why is Ole Miss ranked 18th? They've beaten nobody. They're 2-1. They've beaten one AA team, and they've beaten Memphis. Well, Memphis is 1-3, ladies and gentlemen. And why is South Carolina unranked then? South Carolina beats the number 4 team in the country. Their only loss is to a top 25 team, and they also beat NC State, who, by the way, is 3-1 and beat Pittsburgh last week. And so why are they unranked? Here's another case in point. Penn State is ranked ahead of Iowa. Iowa's 17th, Penn State's 13th. Iowa's had one of the toughest schedules in the nation. They've beaten 3 BCS conference teams, including an 11-point victory at Penn State. Penn State's beaten garbage teams, Syracuse, Temple, Akron, and they're still ahead of Iowa. Can you believe that? Well, I don't know what it is. Boise State, number 5. Are you kidding me? Boise State's going to get like to that 4 or 5 rank, and then they're just going to keep dropping because their schedule's awful. All these one-loss teams are eventually going to pass Boise State. I think that's enough for me. That's enough of a rant for me on that. Also, the fact that Michigan, they keep rising. I don't know. They are undefeated, but they did not look very good against Indiana. And then Miami, they fall to 21st in the country. Miami's beaten 2 ranked teams. They lost to a team that's now ranked number 6 in the country, and they fall from 9 to 21st. I don't know, just something. I don't like something about this. What are your thoughts on the coaches poll?